Pete again at Pete's Snake Bite Kit YouTube channel. And today is another episode of COBRA the Mini-Series. Today we're in the S's. We're gonna look at Shelby, we're gonna look at Shell Valley, and we're gonna look at Superformance. So, a couple things about Superformance. They're made in South Africa. They're probably the biggest manufacturer of turnkey minuses, and they are blessed by Shelby. We'll get into some details on that, and we'll talk about how to say it. It's not Superformance, it's Superformance. Anyway, let's take a closer look. Let's take a look at these guys. They've got a few different offerings. We'll go through them real quick, then we'll talk about some details. Mark II, slab side. That's a small block car that would have wire wheels, no flares on the side, and it's a 289 or 260 car is what they were originally. Really nice looking car. Those look very, very original. Then they've got a Mark III, which is a big block car, 427 SC, semi-competition, would have side pipes, hood scoop, flares like the Hurricane that I'm building. They also make a street version of this, which originally, those were 428 engine cars. They would have had a glove box. They have a different dashboard layout. They have no roll bar, no side pipes, no hood scoop. In a way, a very pretty car because you're not looking at that other stuff. You're just looking at the clean body lines. They are a great looking car. They sell a GT40. Now, Ford sells something called a Ford GT because Ford does not have the rights to this little thing right here. As I talked about in that video I did a couple months ago on Tom Kirkham's 1940 Ford GT. Anyway, they do, and it's a GT40. A friend of mine back home in Southern California, Steve, has got a GT40 from Superformance. Not running yet, looked at it a lot. Absolutely beautiful car. I mean, these things are spot on, very, very nice. Then they make a Daytona Coupe. Cool deal on the Daytona Coupe. As you probably know, Pete Brock. That Pete Brock right there was the one that designed the original Daytona Coupe. He helped Superformance design this Daytona Coupe. Here's a picture of Pete Brock's actual Superformance Daytona Coupe. That's pretty good stuff, you know what I mean? So, really, really nice looking cars. They've got really nice paint. I have seen Superformance Cobras that are 15 years old and the paint looks wonderful. That's a pretty big deal. So if you're looking for something in that price range, they start at about $60,000 for a basic right here, one color, no options on it, and they go up from there. Disclaimer, it could have gone up. That's what I saw last time. Just wonderful car. Okay, what is a replica that's blessed by Shelby? So a while ago, late 90s, early 2000s, Carroll, Shelby, and Ford got together. They're trying to sue everybody involved with Cobras. Who owns the name of it, who can make that shape of a car, and I'm not going to go into the details here. It's a pretty interesting story if you ever look that up. Here's what happened. You can make a Cobra. Nobody owns the shape. Also, the name, these manufacturers are not calling them Cobras because they don't own that name and they can't use it. So that's kind of how things were winding up. Somewhere through that process, Superformance made peace with Carroll Shelby, and he says, I'm going to bless or authorize these cars as an authorized replica. So it's the only authorized replica. However, the Shelby cars, which we'll talk about on the next one, is not a replica, it's a continuation. You could argue about the Kirkham cars. They're not blessed by Shelby, but sometimes they're sold as a Shelby and so on. But it is pretty cool that Superformance has made that arrangement with Shelby where it is an authorized reproduction of a Cobra, not a continuation car. Minor details. A side note I wanted to throw in here on the Superformance offerings is I came pretty close to buying one of these. The more I did the math and what it was going to cost to do that versus build my own, it really pushed me out budget-wise. There's a couple of very minor things that didn't fit with what's very important to me on a replica as far as accuracy and so on. But I'm telling you, these are a very well finished soft car, very nice. I've been around them quite a bit, haven't gotten to drive one. I sat in a couple of them. The layout's very comfortable. There's a little more room in these cars than an original car. Almost all the manufacturers have done something to make it a roomier compartment, and they've done a pretty good job of that too. So let's take a look at these. So some of their basic models here, they've got the slab side of their 289 car, wire wheels, no fender flares, no hood scoop. They also have, of course, the 427 SC semi-competition, side pipes, roll bar, hood scoop, and that. They also have the street roadster version of the big block car. These are the ones that would have a glove box, a different gauge layout. No hood scoop, no roll bar, no side pipes, just the beautiful lines, as you can see. And then they have the Daytona Coupe. This is the one that Pete Brock originally designed and helped Superformance design for their replica. And then they have the GT40. This GT40 is almost a continuation car. It may even be considered a continuation car. Many of the parts on these, my understanding, actually interchange with an original GT40. So here's a little tour walking through Hillbank's garage. They sell the Superformance cars, and they also sell some Shelby cars. They're in Irvine, California. Doug was nice enough to give me a tour. I actually went by there right about quitting time, and he was ready to go home, but boy, was nice enough to just let me walk through. We talked about their cars for a while and took a bunch of pictures. You can see they've got some really nice stuff. That is Superformance. Hopefully this video gave you an idea of what Superformance is about, what their cars look like, and so on. If you're interested in these, if this is the one that makes you say, I've got to have a Cobra, you need to get a hold of them. They've got a few other variations that we didn't go into the detail of every single option there. Also, Superformance deals in Shelby American cars, and specifically the Hillbank, the place I showed you the tour of, they do carry Shelby American cars, and that is our next and final episode of COBRA the Mini-Series. I really enjoyed doing these, as you can tell. If you've got questions or comments, I try and get back to each one of those as quickly as I can, so feel free to ask any questions, make any comment, especially if they're positive, and I'll get back to you. Hey, please subscribe, like, ring the bell. You know how that drives all of these channels. So, thanks for watching. Be safe out there. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I have enjoyed making these. Thanks.